1. So anyway, we will have just an introductory for the root finding method, and then we will have the one method that we will discuss. So for this method, root finding method is the goal is actually to solve for the root. If we can remember, I think we can remember our life sa algebra, pati pag high school na algebra. If you are told to solve for the root, you are to find for that value of y, for that value of x, which makes y be equal to 0. So if we have this, if we have a function, definition y equals 2,552 minus 30d squared plus d cubed, the root is that value of d that will make y equal to 0. If this is a graphical representation of the curve, so this is the curve, the root is that value d here where the function or the curve of the function crosses the d-axis. So somewhere here ang root. Ang value sa d during the theta will make y equals to 0. Ano siya? Right? So the goal always is to find the value of x such that this equation f of x is equal to 0 would be true. We solve for the value of x, which makes f of x equal to 0. That value of x would be the root of the equation. So we have this. When we are solving, when we are looking at the equation in finding the root, first, saan mo ito pagkabalo nga na ay masolve nga root? Can the equation be solved? Diba? If there is a root, how could we be sure that we will be able to solve for the root? Or how can we be sure that we are able to find the root? So from the intermediate value theorem, if a function is continuous at a real number system, and that if a is less than b such that f of a and f of b are non-zero and of opposite sign, then there exists an x asterisk such that this s asterisk is between a and b, diba? Such that f of x asterisk is equal to 0. From this here, from this statement, it states that karing kalas, x asterisk is the root of the equation. So we would be sure that there is a root if between that interval, between the two numbers ba, f of a and f of b are not 0. Number 1, kung 0 sila, na root, diba? Dili sila 0 and they are of opposite sign. Ang isa positive, ang isa negative. If that is the case, then between the interval a and b, diha makita ng root. So, paano na ang makita? That's the answer for the first question there. So, if we will consider this, if our interval is between 5 and 15, f of 5 is positive, f of 15 is negative. If within that interval, if that interval, f of 5 and f of 15 is a non-zero number, and that one is positive, the other is negative, then we can be sure that between 5 and 15, in this case, diha na ito makita ng root. Oops. So, na iya ha? Ubag ani. How can we be sure that there is a root to find? course, ato siya ikuan. Itulong diya ka interval. Ay na, what diri sa ubos. There is, from the graphical representation, interpretation, that will be very obvious, right? Katang intermediate value theorem. So there are, we will have one, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heading 6, we will try to see if we can have this also. We will have around 5, at least 5 methods of root finding that we will discuss within the subject. So today, we will have the fixed point iteration method. Ano siya? So that's the open method. Ang sa meaning open method, it is a number, it is a fixed point iteration, meaning balik-balik siya. It is an open method, meaning we do not have to have two values as our interval. All other methods which we will later find out, the values that we are to find, the root that we are to find is within two intervals. We call it a closed method. Then siya open method din siya. So what is a fixed point iteration? A fixed point for a function is a number at which the value of the function does not change when the function is applied. So in the fixed point iteration, we are to look for the fixed point. Ang kaning fixed point, this is na number. Na dili na siya mag-utro-utro. Kung ato siyang i-substitute dito sa function, dili mo utro ang value sa function. In mathematical form, a fixed point is the value of p when p is equal to g of p. O, kung ang p, i-substitute na to sa function, g of p, p ra gihapon ang result. So magbalik-balik na siya. P jud bisag unsaon. So what would be the method using fixed point iteration? The process is repeated. Kaya iteration siya balik-balik until we achieve the answer. Balik-balikon siya og substitute. Now, it is not assured that we will always get the answer. But the goal is actually to get the answer, to get the root. So sometimes when we do this method, the numbers tend to a limit. If the numbers would tend to a limit, balik-balik na siya. Ihara dyan siya kutob. Then, we have solved the root successfully. Sometimes, although, hindi siya ma-successful. Di man siya mo, because fixed point is that value nga kung i-substitute, mauron siya gihapon na siya nga value. Kung i-substitute, mauron siya gihapon na siya nga value. Diba? If the result is cutting number 1, then successful siya. If the numbers that we are solving tend to diverge, meaning mo spread, then dili siya mao. Or the number would be periodic. Balik-balik. For example, if I substitute 2, ang result, 1/2. If I substitute 1/2, ang result 2. Pag puli-puli ra sila, ilhang value, then it is called periodic. The objective here is to find the fixed point where the number would tend to a limit. Ox. Ako rin magtutunan. Sige, okay. So the fixed point iteration would be of this form. First is to write it in a f of x equals to 0 form. Diba? And then, from here, from this equation, kay equals to 0 man siya, kay mag-solve mataog root. And then we solve x in terms of x. And then we find an initial value. An initial value can be any value. Pero mas maayo kung doon siya sa root. This is assuming that we do not know that ato pa siyang solve. So when we have a certain value, initial value P of 0, i-substitute na siya diri sa x equals g of x. Substitute na, then we can solve for the next value. We call it P of 1. I-substitute na po siya, na po tayo bago nga value. I-substitute na po siya, i-substitute. There would come a time na sige na itong substitute, magbalik-balik na ang value. Then, pag magbalik-balik na ang value, una na tag-substitute. Kaya mauna na siya ang fixed point. That's the solution now. That value of P is the root of our equation. Let us have an example. Example, if we have an equation, x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. Diba? This is already an, kung ano na siya nga form. Kung ano na siya nga form, diba? Equal to 0. So x squared, how do we write this into its fixed point form? A fixed point form is x equals g of x. So we write this. Ito ba kumusulat yan eh? I think anyway, to become so if this is, we solve x in terms of x, diba? If I will make this, conditional example ha, the first example, x squared I can make this x squared is equal to 1. Diba? Diba din ako siya dito? And then, I get the, i-divide na ko both sides by x. So, x squared divided by x, that's x equal to 1 over x. Kasi rin natin diba? Diba? This is an example of a fixed point form. Ang x, gisolve na po na ako in terms of x. There are, the fixed point form is not only limited to one form. It can be any form. Pwede, I can add x both sides. So I will have, pwede sa siya. Tumagan ako x both sides. X squared plus x equals 1 plus x. Right? Then I will transpose 1 on the other side. If I will subtract 1 on both equations, I would have x. We can have 1 plus x ha. Minus 1 of 1 equals x squared plus x minus 1. Right? Mauni siya. From here. So this is from this. I-rearrange lang siya to make the form solving x in terms of x. Let me know if medyo na-confused. Pero that's it. Ikadaon siya. Let us try the other example below. Let's say we have x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. So I can write this into a fixed point form by transposing, solve x in terms of x man, transposing 2, mahimuhang positive 2, dayon ang x squared mahimong negative x squared. Follow ra ang kanang nasa ubos. Or, pwede pod. Ang akong ibalhin ang 2 ug ang x. So, what becomes 2 minus x. X squared equals 2 minus x, di ba? And then, I get the square root of x squared. So, I would have x equals square root of 2 minus x. So, that's a fixed point form. We solve x in terms of x. And then, when we proceed to our fixed point iteration, in solving for the root, we find a initial value, any value. Of course, any value, we choose as autonom. Dayon, i-substitute na to diha sa x. Let us try a nice sample worksheet. Let us look at one worksheet. I use the first example. I hope naana mo yung mga worksheet. So let's say, for example, maumali siya, no? Second example. X squared plus x minus 2. Pila yung root ani? Of course, we will know the root for sure. If we substitute that value, mahimo siyang 0. For example, kaning 2. Tunong ba? Oh, if we substitute negative 2, we will have 0. Sakto no? Check no. So negative 2, mahimong 4 minus 2 minus 2. Then that would be equal to 0. Therefore, that's the root. We substitute that actually to the original equation. If masakto na siya, then the root that we solve is correct. So this is an example. Ako siya ni-look ako pa rin ako binutang. You can have any form. So this is a sample worksheet to solve for the root of x squared plus x minus 2. The first row is the initial value. What is initial value? This is a value that arbitrarily assigned. So notice mo, this is the 2. Example lang. Adik sa ikaduha nga value, this is where we put the formula for the fixed point form. Ano ba natin gamit? The fixed point form is x equals 2 minus x squared. Diba pwede siya? 2 minus x squared. This is a fixed point form from here. Right? Pwede mo interrupt, ura-ura. So if I will implement this, I would have, this is the formula. Kabantay mo, if I would put the cell here, makawas ang formula. The formula is 2 minus x squared. I squared. Yes. So I will use the fixed point form. X equals 2 minus x squared. So the formula equals 2 minus, kani akong i-substitute sa akong x, 2 minus x squared. Let's say wala pa tayo initial value. So whatever is the value there, i-substitute na po na ako na dire, i-substitute na po na ako na dire. So I can copy my formula. I-copy ang formula. Parihara na sila ng formula tanan. Notice, 2 minus, na ang formula sa imabaw ha, na 2 minus B3 cube. Ang B3 na sa diri, B3. So whatever is the value here, so ihang compute on diri. Ang sunod na po, 2 minus B4 squared. So 2 minus B4. Sunod. Kani po, tanawon po niya ang nasa imabaw na value using the same formula. So if my initial formula is 1, solve na niya. Yeah. So nag-answer man. If my initial formula is 0.5, do you notice? So it will solve. Now, do you notice the resulting values? If I will use 0.5 as my initial value, do you notice that the values will diverge? Maybe it should spread. Only ang example niya. The possible result is that it would diverge. Meaning, if it diverges, hindi siya magbalik-balik even if I will try to implement it further. Diba? Di siya, it will tend to a certain number. It will not attain a single number. So this is what it means that the initial value we would also try to find the right initial value. If I will try, for example, 1.5. 1.5. Same. Diba? So either the initial value might not be correct or di gapon siya. Diba? Kung tanaw na ko dito sa PCAS, same, 0.3. If I use 0.3, di gihapon siya. 5, di gihapon siya. Kani siya, this is to diverge na po. Nakita ko iyang number. So, if I cannot find it using different initial value, di po gani gihapon siya, then might be I will need to change my fixed point equation. Right? There is another fixed point equation. The other fixed point equation is square root of 2 minus x. So ayan na to. I think naano siya ako. Di po madali. Square root of 2 minus x. If you cannot find a formula, pwede naman siya ipangitaon diri. Mura pwede siya ma-search. Asa. The square root of, or pwede i-dados. Square root of x equals square root of 2 minus x. Muna akong gibuhat diri. Kani siya. Notice, square root of 2 minus x. And then I copied it. If I have 2 as my initial value, notice, potential to I limit. If I use this formula repeatedly, square root of 2 minus x, balik-balik siya. Now notice, there will come a time that the value would tend to a limit. The value is 1, i-substitute siya, 1 gihapon, i-substitute siya, 1 gihapon, i-substitute siya, 1 gihapon. Then, that value is the root of the function, x squared plus x minus 2. I-substitute na to siya, 1 plus 1 minus 2 equals 0, right? Of course, this function has two roots. One is negative 2, the other is 1. If I will change my initial value, instead of 2, 1.5, notice that it will still solve for the root. See? So this time, the result tends to a limit to a certain value, the root, and for any, hindi siya for any, for a large, wide range of initial values, the root is solved. Of course, one root is solved. Kung alisa na itong 3, tanaw na ito, o lapas na siya, it cannot solve for 3. So this is one limitation of a fixed point. 2.5, tulong ba siya? Oh, it will 1 to solve for the root 1. Kung negative, it will be 1.5. Let us check. It will still solve for 1. So in this case, the right fixed point form is this. Ano siya? Square root ng yapon. Dili ni siya. Tunong ihang formula. Ako i-resolve na. And you can also put different initial values. Any question? So the fixed point form can be implemented as I have shown. It can be implemented using Excel worksheet, spreadsheet. Di man siya Excel. Pero it's very similar to Excel. Right? Using this. Kani siya, wala siya ma-implement using this. Fixed point form. Kani ang gagamit. You can add label sa imuhang worksheet. Pwede ra. Ay, ibang buta mag-label, buta mag-color. Pwede ra. As long as, the important thing is, masolve siya. And also, when we are submitting our assignment, make sure that I can see the formula. Dayon, ang i-input raani is the initial value. Diba? Lapas na siya kung 2.4. Ipakita siya ha, solve siya. Ipakita siya nga solve siya. Pair 1. I think there are a lot of references o mga examples sa internet for this. Pero I would still post a reading material, a chapter that contains this method. So that's a sample worksheet. And then, I'm not sure if mao ni siya ako ma-post ng assignment. I will be posting an assignment for the fixed point iteration method. Mao ni ang instruction. Find the root using the fixed point iteration method. Kaning your own diri is pagbuhat mo inyong equation. Dahil isolve po ang root using the fixed point method. Ox, I think that's the last slide. Please let me know if magkalisod. Isa lang sa ka-method, and we will discuss if you have trouble with spreadsheets. I think easy to understand. And aside from the numerical method, I think it would be quite helpful for us to learn how to use spreadsheets. Because usually at work, later on, you will be using this in computing and making reports. Any question? Nakuman ako o pag ko? Anyone notice it? Question? Kung walay question, let's call it a day. I'm not sure if na pa may klase afterwards. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. Bye, Miss.
I will post the assignment po. Salamat.
Yes, yes.
Sige, bye. Pwede
Yes,
na
Miss.
Thank you,
mo
Miss. Bye,
Thank you,
mag-finish.
Miss.
Miss.
Thank you, Miss. Bye, Miss.
Thank you,
And
Miss.
na
Bye,
ako ang
Miss.
call ha. Salamat. Sige, bye.